Okay, so we have game 5 up on the board here, and we have Torture on the board with City 2. There's also Necropolis on our deck again. So it looks like you want to build some kind of big City Torturer thing, try and pin your opponent down as quickly as possible. So 4-3 for my opponent against my 2-5. Me looking to build the Torturer thing would go for Temple and maybe silver to get a torturer, or market square is also possible. You could gain golds by trashing the temple and reacting your market square. Instead, my opponent borrows for a soothsayer. So that's interesting, right? I didn't expect that, and I was actually a little bit happy to see him pick up the soothsayer there. He also gets the silver on his turn too, which is good for him. He could have missed because of borrowing, but he didn't. And 5 for me here, I am going to pick up a Torturer. I didn't want to borrow to buy anything because I knew I would get 5 on my next turn, so I wanted the 5 for the Torturer. So I now pick up my Temple here. He's still going for Treasury and something else, Chariot Races. So no intent of trashing so far from him, and I'm okay with that. So here I have an option to pick up another Temple, or I could borrow for a 5 cost, which might be City or might be Torturer even. Perhaps Temple is better. I'm not really sure. Instead, I go for a silver, which I think is fine, right? I don't have a silver yet. I need the silver to buy things. And Temple comes up here, not very many targets. So one nice thing with Temple, and I didn't realize this until I started to review this video. Temple can trash from 1 to 3 cards. I always I'm under the assumption Temple could trash 2 cards because most of the time it comes up with the estates and you go estate copper and trash that, right? But it can get rid of all 3 shelters from your deck. Oh boy. Anyway, so now at this point I see my opponent turning back now for Torturer. He's picked up a City. He also has a Temple, so it seems like he is now doubling back for the engine, right? So at this point still I feel like, okay, well fine, that's not too big of a deal if he comes back for the engine, right? He has more stop cards in his deck in the gold, the soothsayer itself. I just gave him a curse here with this torturer, and I expect to give him a couple more. I should be okay even if he doubles back, right? He does have a little bit more money than me, but I don't really see that being too influential. He does manage to pick up another city here. I think that brings him to 3 cities to my 1, and now I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about that. Another torturer for my opponent too, so he has quite a bit of things here. Quite a bit of things here, and meaning quite a bit of action because he has quite a bit of cities, quite a bit of torturers. He has his soothsayer as well. He does not have a market square yet as a source of plus buy, so that's good news for me. I'm happy about that. But he is picking up these cities. The soothsayer for sure will deliver curses, and Torturer will sometimes deliver curses, and he has lots of these cities. The curses pile will run. Pretty soon he'll have a deck full of cities and they'll draw 2 cards for him. They'll be like lost cities. And that is a very scary proposition for me. Very scary. I need to do something about that. I need to start buying cities myself here. But I'm not finding the economy to do so right now. Look at this hand, for example. Not very good. My chariot race misses. I could have played the torturer here to try to get to 5. Maybe that was better. I'm not entirely sure here. So still, nothing doing for my economy right now. I still can't get to 5. My opponent has no problems doing so because of the few gold in his deck. Few gold. Lots of gold in his deck. This could be province for him, and he does go for the province again. I was happy to see that, him putting stop cards in his deck. But he still does have quite a bit more resources than me. I finally am able to buy a city, but only after borrowing from it. I really hated borrowing here, because it just makes it that much more difficult for City and Torturer to collide, and that's what you want on this board, right? You want that to collide. You want to draw a lot of cards so that you could trash down, you could attack your opponent more frequently. But sometimes, like, I had to do it there, right? I had to do it. I was behind on the city split. I really couldn't just let this man get all these cities and have the curses run out, and I'll just be in a completely losing position. It doesn't matter that he doesn't have a plus buy if he'll get a province or turn from here. I can't trash everything. So here you see again my mistake. I could have killed that copper here. This is not left back intentionally. It's left back on accident. By accident, I could have picked up a copper there. Here I could go for a market square to try to get gold in my deck because I am starting to get thin now. I am starting to get thin. Only 2 cards left in the stack there. And I do go for the market square, searching now for some gold with the temple market square interaction. That should give me enough money to start buying things, you know, if there are things left to buy by the time I have the money anyway. So my opponent doesn't forget about the temple interaction there, trashes Cursed Copper and Overgrown Estate. Very good for him. And buys another city. So I'm looking desperately for a torture. I do find that my chariot races have been doing some work for me. Most of his VP is from a temple buy, I believe, earlier in the game. So here, for example, right, like I could have played the torturer, I mean not the torturer, the temple, trash 3 things, gain gold. That would have been a good, okay turn too. But I went looking for the torturer instead. Again, I'm not sure if that was the correct decision. And again, leaving back a copper here. Why? I don't know who I'm leaving this copper for. I don't know. What am I gonna buy extra? Nothing. Like I could borrow and pick up city and chariot race or whatnot. But I don't really want to borrow, like I said. I really don't want to borrow. I ended up doing it anyway. Because I expect the curses to run out soon, so the city should be able to compensate for that, for me taking that hit on the hand size. Unfortunately, the city doesn't draw right away. Doesn't draw right away. Again, another misplay here. I should have played the Torturer to see if my opponent would have taken the curse so that I could draw a little bit more with my city. As is, I don't need to do that, but oh well. Here, this was unfortunate too because I had to play both my market squares up front, so I could not gain any gold this turn. No gold for me. And 5 here, so I could pick up another city, but I feel that just makes it so much easier for him to win the game. He has more of them, and it'll give him a lot of plus buy. He's drawing quite well now. He's trashed out quite a few things from his deck, and he has a lot of gold, so potentially he could just run the estates out on me if I give him the plus buys from the city, and I really don't want to do that, especially seeing as how he has no plus buy in his deck. None whatsoever. So another province for my opponent. He has half of them already, and I'm looking real far in the back here, and a little bit perplexed too. I wanted to know how it is I was this far in the back. I didn't expect the game to turn out this way, but I mean, this is what the position we're in here, right? After the game, thinking about it, perhaps I should have bought more silver. Or another suggestion from the spectators was to pick up market squares more early so I can gain golds to buy things. So I think my early economy was lacking a little bit and coming under such pressure from the soothsayer plus the torturer, unable to deal with that accordingly. So here I have finally some money, 10 or 13 or something. I ended up going for a rogue and a chariot race. Chariot race because, well, I need to score points and I can't really go after the provinces. I would have to use my chariot races and hope. There's no way for me to stack my deck to make sure chariot races trigger. The rogue, my idea with the rogue was to hopefully dismantle some of his engine parts, get some cities for myself, but I kind of mess up the rogue interaction. That has always been something of a weak point in my play. I'm not really sure how rogue works unless I pay very close attention. So what I end up doing is trashing this temple to one of my temples, and then I think I play the rogue after that. So what does that mean? I regain the temple, right? It doesn't mean I attack him and put something of his in the bin. So chariot races doing some slow work here. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. So I was expecting this rogue here to attack him. Instead, I gain that temple, which isn't bad. I score 5 points off of it. But yeah, I wanted to attack him. So 18, right? This is Double Duchy Province if I wanted. And perhaps I should have gone for it at this point. Perhaps, but I was worried about him buying a province and then me just being in a very uncomfortable position of having one province left in the pile. So he would be at 48 points, and I would be at 34 points, and I'm not really sure I could have picked up 15 points to win the game at that point. I could have bought a province for 6, but where am I getting the other 9 points? I'd have to rely on chariot races to fetch me points, and that is not at all a reliable thing to do. So I just end up going for triple duchy, leaving it there. My deck is also approaching saturation point, meaning it very soon will not be able to draw all the cards in it, and I'll have to deal with portions of the deck and some bad draws and whatnot. So in the meantime, my opponent really is just chugging through his deck and buying a province a turn from here, right? He's managed to get thin enough, and he has so many golds from his soothsayers. I really felt like perhaps he should have bought the last city at some point. I felt like that would have benefited him a lot more than it would have benefited me. In fact, probably him buying this city would let him win in a couple turns rather than going through this potentially close endgame, and it was actually a lot closer than I thought it was. So again, I don't really have much options here but to go for triple duchy. My opponent puts 5 goals on the table and buys a province. Where's dominate when you need it, right? So 42 against 55 here. If my chariot races are nice to me, which they aren't 100% nice to me, but if they were nice to me, maybe I have a chance to at least tie up the game. 12 points behind right now. 12 points behind, so we will see what could happen here. Rogue, I could fetch back a temple, and I do fetch it back for a couple points, and look at this. 1 buy short of finishing on a tie. Province Duchy Estate ties, and I do not have the other market square to make the play. Agonizingly close, agonizingly close. Alternatively, if there were 2 provinces, I could have gone for that and probably won, but I have to make an alternative play here. So I am going to go for Duchy and Market Square. Picking up 2 duchies means he gets city and wins. Leaving a duchy means that I would be granted first use of the improved cities, which is what I went for. So hopefully the extra money, the extra buys could get me somewhere. Need these chariot races to pull through. They don't. His deck is just full of too many expensive cards, and I stop here. 10 and 4 buys. What do I do? Well, I go after the estates now, right? We're very close in score. If somehow he doesn't manage to get to province, he still doesn't have plus buy in his deck. No, that is incorrect. He has lots of plus buy in his deck. So somehow, if he has 5 green cards in his hand or something, maybe I could get province next turn, but even that isn't happening. And he ends up winning here. So I was surprised by the result of this, the soothsayer, and then he turned back for the engine, and it ended up working out for him. If you like, leave some comments. I'd love to hear what you think about this game. I made some mistakes with the temple and the rogue, but there you have it, game 5. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.